The sun's rays paint Hong Kong's mountains in a palette of orange and gold as they speed by outside the rain. With a final flash, the sun dips below the horizon, foretelling the inevitable descent into night. Gaichu is silent as you walk back to the MTR station. He stares out the window, seeing nothing but the shadows of astral space, lost in thought. With Ishida's death, the ties between Gaichu and the Red Samurai have finally, decisively, been severed. That's going to be an interesting conversation, probably. Like, what does Gaichu do now? I guess he just lives the life of a Shadowrunner. Like, is that it? I wonder if this counts as a run. Like, would we be able to talk to Gobbet after doing this? Able to equip 2 drones. I did not... Oh, I was like, I didn't get paid. And then I remembered that I have to go pick up the money. Everything looks just the same as I left it. Oh, that's a lot of good money. I wish I could have kept the drone, but whatever. I wonder if that's enough money for us to get a new fancy schmancy drone. Probably not. I wouldn't think so. Maybe get a cheaper drone than the one that we have now. But is that worth it? I could get the Doberman again. Or we could do another run and I could get this. Sundowner. I also like the idea of having a drone that can heal us. But we need 1,000 new yen, which means nothing I can sell would be good enough. I had to pick up his medicine for him? Is he gonna pay me? Hey, give me 1,000 new yen and I'll pick up your medicine for you. Does that sound fair? Or you know what? Maybe just give me that drone. I'll take a drone in exchange. Oh, this is better than life chip. Okay. Goodbye, Ambrose. What? Hey. Why is this dude's medicine BTLs? Or Beatles, I guess? As the shorthand? Hey, Matthew? What is this stuff? Oh, it's a synthetic personality. And I'll be going now. I see. So the only way he can bear to exist here is by chipping in a synthetic personality. That's interesting, I guess. For the first time since you got to Hong Kong, you wake up feeling well rested and satisfied. Flexing your limbs feels glorious. It's as though you've spent hours cramped up in a confined space and you can finally stretch your legs. You push yourself up and touch your feet to the ground, but something stops you short. Your mouth. Something is wrong with your mouth. You let your tongue move over your teeth until you reach the problem area. A molar on the upper left side. It feels strange. You apply a little pressure to the tooth, and it slides free from its moorings. It's as if nothing was ever holding it in place to begin with. As the tooth comes free in your hand, an image etches itself into your mind. A great chamber, hazy in form and outline. Clouds of red mist that fill the air, perfuming it with salt and copper. Great columns stretching up from the ground to pierce the sky, and above it all, the enormous grinding gears of a broken machine. In the distance, you can hear a sound, a desperate, frantic pounding. Something enormous at the door, many somethings, all desperate to get in. Scrambling and scratching and scraping, but unable to find purchase. The way in is locked. You feel a tremendous sense of accomplishment. You've done it. The others are trapped outside, blind and starving, unable to pass through the door. The chamber, and what lies beyond it, are yours. A shrill giggling noise fills the air, like the laughter of a small child, mixed with the shivering screech of countless violins. The sound reverberates down your spine like an electric current. The intoxicating aroma of meat fills your nostrils. You have been starving for 1,000 years. Soon it will be time to feed. And just like that, it's over. The images fade, dissipating like vapor. Only the tooth in your hand remains. Oh, it actually fell out. That's fucked up. You walk into a mess. Half-eaten cans of food litter the floor, and personal equipment is strewn about in a haphazard fashion. Amid the mess, Wu sits in his bunk with his back against the wall. He has a PDA in his hands, and he's staring down at it, sullen and morose. He doesn't acknowledge your entry. Want me to come back later?
Doesn't matter.
He doesn't look up.
Go, stay, whatever. I assume that you're here to talk.
Come on, what did you think about that last run? Yeah. What are you looking at on the PDA?
A video of Edward Sang.
Where'd you get it?
Isabel dug it up. It's archival footage from the Walled City project.
What's he doing?
Being Raymond, telling people what to do, how to do it, except that he's younger, and rich, and powerful. And his name is Edward.
He glances up. His eyes are rimmed in red.
Do you want to see it?
Nah, I don't need to.
I get it. Wish I hadn't seen it. That all you want?
Been thinking about the way you and Raymond used to butt heads.
What about it?
I think that's one of the reasons you were angry with me when I left. I had a better relationship with him.
You didn't have a better relationship with him. Raymond and I were tight. You just knew how to avoid conflict better than I did. That's not the same thing. You had that way of diffusing him when he started with that intenso ray thing he used to do. Remember?
Intenso ray. I haven't thought of that in a long time.
I think you were the one who came up with that name. It was like the summer after we started living with him and Mrs. Maloney. Raid found out that we hadn't followed one of his rules. I don't remember which. There was a long list.
You'd bought some nerps. He hated crap like that.
No, that wasn't it. I think he caught me smoking. Yeah, that's right. I was smoking and he was pissed and said the fat kids who smoke die faster. So just to be obstinate, I told him I liked to smoke, and we got into it. Then you came in and diffused the whole situation.
Wu stops talking and his expression becomes thoughtful.
I think that's why I was so resentful when you took off, especially after Mrs. O'Malley died. You were the only one who could get through to him when he became an Intenso Ray.
I remember the last time. It was when Double Tray got taken.
I don't want to talk about that right now, Bubuski. I've got enough on my mind as it is. Stuff like my father betraying my trust.
Okay, that was a bad thing to bring up, I guess. That's obviously a big, traumatic thing in Duncan's life. I'm curious about that, though. Isabel, you don't have anything. Why do you never have anything? Why are you not a character that I can engage with? So disappointing. Wait. She's gone, Alley Cat. I don't know where she ran off to, but she looked upset. She just said something about friends in trouble, then left. By the time I could disconnect from the octopus, she was on her way out of town. She must have gone back to the sinking ship. I don't like the sound of that. She tell you what She tell you what went down out there all of those years ago? The mutiny? Yeah, and she's been having bad dreams about the place ever since. She turns her back and begins grabbing her gear. Well, we'd better go and get her, hadn't we? Let's do it. Aw. Like, obviously we're gonna go help her. I like this approach to it more than like Gaichu and Raptor being like, we have job. It's a job. This one makes it feel so much more personal, and I like that a lot more. Raptor's shop is alive with motion. Wall-mounted tools hammer and spark, each according to its own rhythm. The cacophony reverberates in the metal confines of the converted engine room, attacking your ears as the light of acetylene torches stabs your eyes.
My friend, you've come back.
Raptor turns toward you. His boots are off, and you can see the metallic gleam of his feet. Freed from the confines of his boots, the appendages have unfolded. Clawed, gripping toes splay out in all directions, at least 8 to a foot. They look alien and predatory, like the talons of some great carnivorous bird.
I wasn't convinced that you'd want to continue our little chats after last time.
From under his desk, a glint of light catches your eye. Crochet.
I am glad that I was wrong.
I mean, Vactor's our friend. I like Vactor. Are you kidding? I wouldn't miss our talks for the world.
I am pleased to hear you say so. I rather enjoy them myself.
He turns, the sound of metal on metal filling your ears.
So, what shall we talk about?
Vactor, what's up with your feet?
The replacements that I was fitted with all those many years ago.
The many talon-like toes that splay out from his feet claw at the ground, scraping against the metal flooring.
They have been modified somewhat between then and now, as you can see. Improved.
Those are amazing. I want a pair. I do.
If only I had the time and resources, I would make them for you. Oh, the ways that I would improve you, my friend.
He shrugs, an apologetic smile on his face.
Perhaps later, after we've finished all of this. But for now, we have more pressing concerns.
I see that the shop is up and running again. What are you working on now?
More options for Crochet, as always. He is still far from perfect, but every iteration inches himself closer.
I have questions for you about something that you mentioned last time.
The corner of his mouth lifts into a wry smile. Yes, I imagine you do. Go on then. Ask away.
So, in your ideal future, people without empathy, morality, or humanity will replace the rest of us. That sound about right?
Yes, people like me. Tell me, my friend, how does that make you feel? What is your gut reaction to the vision that I have shared with you?
It terrifies me, honestly. He frowns knowingly.
Of course it does. You do not share our selective advantage. You see what is to come, and it repels you. For a woman in your position, this is only natural. Revulsion is the expected response. I promise you, my friend, if you move past your atavistic reaction, you will see how right this is. The sixth world is no place for compassion. It is a predatory world, a world of monsters. Some of those came with the awakening, and others are of our own design, but they are there. And if we are to survive, we need to shed those weaknesses that prevent us from competing with them. I speak with the clarity of a man who is not a man, in mind or in body. The things that others refuse to see are as plain to me as the light of day. I tell you, my friend, life is better this way. One day you will see for yourself, and you will thank me for what I have shared with you.
No. Like, I think mainly what makes me oppose Ractor's ideals is my belief that the basic concepts of human empathy and compassion are the two greatest things about humanity. And Ractor obviously does not share that belief. Well, and he can't, obviously, because he's incapable of feeling those things. I think his ideal future is interesting. From an academic standpoint, I'm interested, but it doesn't sound like a future that I would want. If what you believe is true, if people with your condition will inherit the earth, how long do you think that can last?
Indefinitely. What makes you ask?
Psychopaths are born predators. Ever heard of a natural ecosystem that's made up of nothing but predators?
You're suggesting that we'll burn ourselves out, annihilate ourselves. I will concede that this is possible, but I think it unlikely. This is the sixth world, after all. Even if meta-humanity is supplanted by post-humanity, there will be other forces at work in the world. We will not be alone.
You're talking about the supernatural, dragons, spirits, that kind of thing?
Yes, any form of intelligence that cannot, or will not, make the leap that we will make. Dragons and spirits would qualify, so would any metahuman holdovers that cling to their natural bodies. Artificial intelligences could also prove problematic.
And what would they be to you? Competition? Prey?
That remains to be seen, but they would give my people something to rally against.
The corner of his mouth tilts upward. The smile contains no warmth.
I, for one, am looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. Aren't you?
See, that's concerning. This line of thought is concerning. Because he's already implying an innate nationalism to post-humanity that I think he considers natural and just like unavoidable, inevitable. And while he is probably right, it's concerning to think that he wants an entire species of or subspecies of humanity to be like that, and to eventually, I don't know, possibly go to war with meta-humanity and spirits and dragons like that. What is the end goal? Ractor is definitely the sort of guy that doesn't think about, he understands what science could do, but he doesn't understand what science should do, or what science shouldn't do. He just cares about advancement. He doesn't care about the ethics of it, I suppose. And I guess that goes hand in hand with his psychopathic nature, I suppose, but I don't know. As much as kind of fucked up as Ractor is, I like him a lot. Not because he's like a good person or anything, but because he's interesting. I don't like him in the sense that like I'd be friends with him or like I think he's good. I like him in the sense that he is a character with ideals that make me think. Much like Gaichu. I like Gaichu a lot more than Ractor, I think, because Gaichu is slowly becoming a fast fighter. But Ractor, I think, is more existentially interesting. I like the conversations with Ractor a lot. They're very, very well written, and it tackles the subject matter of neurodivergence tactfully and responsibly, and I find that great. That's excellent. You said that you were diagnosed as a psychopath when you were 8. What led to that diagnosis?
My mother had me tested. She'd always kept a watchful eye on me, obsessively so, truth be told. It was a rather poor way to experience childhood.
Why was she watching you? What did you do?
Very little. She blew my childhood behaviors out of proportion, I'm afraid. The woman had always been motivated by fear.
He sighs.
She had her reasons, I suppose.
What reasons are you talking about?
Malignant narcissism runs in the family. None of the men of my line have understood the concepts of conscience or empathy, and they wouldn't have had much use for them if they did. My grandfather was an abusive drunk who killed his own brother with a gasoline-powered ice auger.
Oh, burps. It could be burps. Still burpy.
My father was a terror to his employees and assistants, a shark in a business suit. I suppose that my mother expected me to follow in their footsteps.
And haven't you?
Yes, I suppose that I have, but it wasn't by choice. Had I been left in peace, had my supposed friends not stolen what was dearest to me, I might never have taken to the shadows. My path was set by others, not by myself.
No. Like, you chose this. Like, I don't know. This doesn't play well for me after, literally immediately after we had Gaichu saying that he chooses his own fate and makes his own destiny. No, I don't. And I don't like this, because this is like, I don't know, this is kind of shitty. All of these are kind of shitty. You're an admitted psychopath. The cruelty in you would have had to find an outlet sooner or later.
Perhaps, but there's no sense in debating such things. Things happened as they did, and we are both the better for it, are we not? Surely it is advantageous having me on the team.
So after you were diagnosed, what happened? He shrugs.
I learned what was expected of me. The doctor was very helpful in that regard. He offered false hope and placebos and false promises that he could cure me if my family met his price. And to me, he offered an escape. All that I had to do was play along and my problems would be solved. It wasn't difficult to pretend that I had been cured. Once I understood the outward signs that my mother was looking for, I was able to ape them well enough. In time, my mother came around.
See, this is also not a good thing to say. Because, like, this isn't unique to Ractor's specific brand of neurodivergence. This is just something that neurodivergent people sort of have to do. They have to, like, understand, they have to come to understand, like what he said, the outward signs that people are looking for. Obviously, different neurodivergences would do this for different reasons. Some for, just like fitting in, others for... Well, no, I think just fitting in is like the most common case. So this is not. That's not correct. In your place, I'd have done the same.
Of course you would have. Anyone would. Not everybody would succeed, of course. At the risk of sounding immodest, my natural talents for acting and mimicry are quite impressive. And I had an incentive to play my role well. My grandfather lived out his final days in Black Dolphin Prison. Do you know the place?
No. Is it anything like a Supermax prison in the UCAS?
In terms of conditions, it's far worse. Black Dolphin is one of the most appalling detainment facilities in Russia, and that is saying quite a lot. I was determined not to wind up trapped in such a place. I am not an animal to be caged.
Vector bends down and runs his fingers over Cochet's chassis. The drone stands motionless, the lenses of its many optical sensors focused on you.
In any case, there you have it. I am glossing over many of the details, of course, but I'd rather not discuss my childhood any further. Instead, let us think to the future, and to the promise that it holds.
So where do we go from here? So that, I believe, is the end of Ractor's thing, which leads me to think. I think now that we've done that, hold on. Do we have... No. So I remember at a certain point, it might be when you beat the game, but at a certain point, you actually get your party members' like equipment and stuff, like their unique stuff, and I can't remember when that happens. I think probably at the end. Taco-kun. Gaichu likes octopi. That's so cute. I have, actually, but no. I know this. I learned this from Persona 4. Alright. Hey Gaichu, how you feeling? The dim cabin's air is thick with the pungency of incense, as a small, rudely constructed altar sits near Gaichu's box of mementos. It consists of a wooden box, a few trinkets, and a bowl for burning incense. Gaichu himself is polishing his sword again. He runs a claw along the length of the blade, feeling and listening for nicks and dents.
Good evening, Alley Cat. A fine evening, isn't it?
He puts the sword aside and smiles in your general direction.
What can I do for you?
I sort of assumed you'd want to talk about what happened with your team.
Of course I have thoughts about it, but why would I burden you or anyone else with them? If you would like to talk about it, then we may, by all means. I am a private person by nature, however. This is why I did not seek you out to speak on it.
Of course I want to talk about it. Are you okay?
A curious question. Am I alright? I, the one who survived? Who has now shed his old life entirely? Who no longer need worry about assassins on his heels? Yes, I am more than alright. I am free. Allow me to thank you again for interceding on Ishida's behalf.
Gaichu bows very low, holding it for an almost uncomfortable amount of time.
I had blinded myself to the possibility of ending his life, without attempting to avenge my suffering upon him. I could not let him live, but I could forgive him for his blindness and arrogance. The ability to forgive is one of the hallmarks of humanity, and without that, I fear I would have embraced my inhuman nature a little too much. You guided me away from that darkness, and that is a debt I cannot easily repay.
You're welcome. I stand by my friends. Gaichu nods sharply, smiling.
And I stand by mine as well. I do not mean in any stereotypical Bushido says my sword is yours fashion either. In the shadows, your allies are your life, and you have proven to be the strongest ally I could ask for. It is only right that I return the favor.
Has killing your old unit changed your outlook on life?
Yes, I think it has. I had thought that embracing my nature as a ghoul would be enough to allow me to survive. Become the thing you have been cursed with, so to speak.
Oh, that snuck up on me.
But I do not think that is true anymore. Instinct has to be tempered with forethought and logic, or the hunger and rage could overwhelm me. I must be careful not to let emotion rule over my self-control. But this shows the synergy of how a strong soul can survive this disease if they take care and are mindful. Perhaps I can show others that we are not all mindless beasts. Regardless, Ishida's sword is now mine. It is a newer blade than my own, and appears to be made with some manner of enhanced decote process along the tungsten carbide edge.
He lifts the katana, running one claw down the back of the blade.
I have noticed a marked improvement in my speed when using it, particularly with follow-through moves. Should an enemy fall to this sword, I will be able to reposition much more rapidly.
Do you regret having to kill your unit? Gaichu cocks his head as he ponders this. After a long moment, he shakes his head.
No, I do not believe I do. We were locked in a dance that could only end with my death or theirs. We chose that path, consciously or not, and I am unwilling to die so that they could live. I value my life, even changed as it is. Their insistence on following the strictures of their duty ensured this end, just as surely as my refusal to die did. I regret only that circumstance and training led us to this point. They were still family to me even at the end, but if your family turned on you and tried to kill you, you would still defend yourself.
What will you do now? Gaichu recoils, expression one of rank incredulity.
Surely you are joking with me. I will stay here and aid you in your endeavors. I have no other life to turn to, nor anyone else to call friend. As you have aided me, so too will I aid you. This life in the shadows is the most free and open I have ever felt. I have no desire to go or do anything else. Perhaps later I will, but not anytime soon.
Aw. So we have a staunch ally in Gaichu. That's nice. I like Gaichu a lot. He's such a fucking good character. He's so good.